It's Wednesday night, and we're live from Oakdale, Washington, in the Educated Touch studio. Welcome to Ethics Outside the Box, with your host, Nathan Nordstrom. Special guests include... and you. Here he is, Nathan Nordstrom.
All right, welcome guys. It's great to have you guys here with us. Today we have a special guest with us, it's Knowles. We are just here to talk about ethics. One of the key aspects that really kind of continue to help us as a profession grow and develop is really kind of connecting with our patients in an ethical way. So I wanted to just quickly kind of go over how we're here and why. So as a massage therapist, and especially as a male massage therapist, we want to make sure that we have the highest quality of massage therapy care. We're going to be looking at each step from the National Certification Board of Therapeutic Massage and Body Workers Code of Ethics. There's a lot of questions that I usually got when I was in school, and Craig, you're in school teaching. Those kind of questions that come up are, well, where do I find this kind of stuff, and how do I kind of get to the right place to understand where the Code of Ethics is and kind of what to know? So the first thing I want to do is I want to actually share my screen here. If I hit the right button, that might help. Desktop, maybe that will. Share screen. I'm going to use Craig as my check here. Craig, do you see my screen there?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. So this is the National Certification Board website, NCBTMB.org. The NCB's website is really kind of simple. It's got a lot of information on here, and it kind of gives us a lot to kind of engage with. So the first thing is looking at what board certification is. If you're a student looking at becoming board certified, that's the page right there. If you're looking for continuing education providers, over here, we've got plenty of pieces down here. But the thing that I thought was really interesting was at the very, very bottom, it says the About section. This About section is really interesting because that's where you're finding about NCB, about volunteers, bylaws, certification, senior stuff. Okay, and then we go to the Code of Ethics, or COE, and then Standards of Practice, which is right next to it. So these are the things that you need to know as a massage therapist if you want to be board certified. And a lot of the states expect that you're following these the Code of Ethics and Standard of Practice of the National Certification Board. So some of them use direct terminology from NCB, or they create a statement that says, hey, it has to be equivalent to the national standard. So if you click on Code of Ethics, you can scroll right down. Oh, maybe. There we go. Scrolling right down, you see the National Certification Board, NCB certification shall act in a manner that justifies public trust and confidence, enhances the reputation of the profession, and safeguards the interests of the individual client. Certificants will. So that's a huge introduction. That's a big piece to say, what is it that we are doing? Our purpose is to help really each and every client. So it then goes through and starts talking about each one of those. So before we go into this first one, I'd actually like to introduce my guest, Craig Knowles. Craig, I find it funny, we've been around each other for years now, and I think the first time I met you, we were both volunteering for NCB.
I believe so.
I think we both were on a committee helping with some exams, and at that point I was like, okay, who is this goofy guy? And then you just got goofier, and I was excited. I thought, hey, you know what, this guy kind of really well rides with me. So you've been teaching for how many years?
I've been a teacher for 18 years.
18 years, okay. And you've been a massage therapist for coming up on 20?
21.
21.
22, actually. 22.
Yeah. You beat me out. But when you look at practice versus teaching, do you have a preference?
I enjoy both, actually. early in my career, of course, I wanted to get more hands-on. As I got more into the wisdom part of it, not just knowledge, we'll talk more about that later, but actually trying to figure out how to put the facts that we've gathered together and create. And I got more into case management and assessment, that kind of stuff. Then I wanted to get it more into teaching. I had actually been only out of school about 4 years when I started teaching, and I didn't really like it, but it was kind of a job I had to do. It came with the salary, so I was kind of forced into it, and didn't like it really. But I don't think I had enough wisdom to be an effective instructor. I basically was regurgitating facts, from A to B, and that was it. But as time went on, and I actually was able myself to figure out how to work and how to be a better therapist myself, then I feel I became a more effective teacher and enjoyed it more. Awesome.
And I find that true, and especially this code of ethics that we're talking about for NCB, really when we look at our instructors out there, a lot of these standards, I think, could easily transpose right into the classroom. A lot of these standards, when you look at what a teacher is supposed to be doing, standard 1 really helps this in kind of giving us an understanding. So you're teaching at a massage school, and are you teaching continuing education as well?
Yes.
Awesome. So you're a little busy.
A little busy, yes.
Yeah. Well, good. And I appreciate you coming on with me today, and really kind of
appreciate you having me.
So, all right. So let's look at this number 1 here. Let me get back to my darn screen sharing that I was doing. Share just there we go. All right. So, code of ethics. You're familiar with these, right, Craig?
Oh, very much so. I helped write a lot of these.
Okay. So, and these have been reworked several times over the years, just kind of added and tweaked a little bit, but nothing major, right?
Yeah, and I should probably preface, I was part of the Ethics and Standards Committee for NCB for 10 years.
Yeah.
So over those 10 years, tweaks come here and there. As codes are written, they're written for the way the times are now. But as times change, terminology changes. There has to be little tweaks here and there. And so things have been adjusted. Anytime there is a rule, somebody's going to try to find a way around the intent of the rule. So words have to be adjusted to make sure the intent is seen. So that has been done a couple of times. I know once I left the committee, they were in the middle of some rewrites as well. So, but for the most part, since I've been a therapist, they've been pretty standard.
Yeah, and I really kind of love that it does have this standard aspect of communication. It's not like we're twisting around what massage therapy is. It is truly a standard that's organized, stated, and says, okay, here's what we're needing. And all of the slight tweaks that they have in language really kind of support us engaging the profession and really developing the profession into the 21st and eventually 22nd century, so that we can actually see really development in what massage therapy does for the medical practice profession, what it does for general health and well-being. So number 1, I kind of went back, started with that introduction for the NCB. So it shall act in a manner that justifies public trust and confidence. So there's a lot of places that goes, because that's not just in the treatment room. That's public trust and confidence is what they're asking for. It enhances the reputation of the profession. So we're not only supposed to work on ourselves, but we're supposed to aid and represent the profession appropriately and safeguard the interests of each individual client. Number 1, have a sincere commitment to provide the highest quality of care to those who seek their professional services. So, Craig, what are some of the things that you pull out on that first one that really kind of stand out?
Well, as I mentioned before, as a teacher, when you're trying to teach ones that day one massage school, they've never had any interaction with massage therapy, you can't really discuss this sincere commitment to provide high quality care of massage therapy when they have no clue of what massage therapy is. So with my children, what I usually do, and I call them children because we're family, you know, from the first day I teach you to the last day, and you're family. So I always call them my children. So what I tell my children is compare it to something that is in the service industry that you do all the time. You know, it doesn't matter where we work. It doesn't matter if you like medical, if you hate medical, if you like spa, if you work in four walls, if you are mobile, it doesn't matter. We all have the same employer, the exact same employer. Some of my students tell me, well, I'm not going to work for a chain, or I'm not going to work for a doctor because I want to work for myself. I said, well, you will be broke because you don't work for yourself in this industry. We work for our client. We all, no matter where we work, we have the exact same employer. The employer is the person who can hire you and fire you, and that's your client. So that being said, how do you want to be treated in the service industry and something that you do? So I always compare it to going to a restaurant. We all go to restaurants. We all want good service, expect good service at a restaurant. So what I ask them to do is, what do you see when you go into a restaurant and you sit down to be served? What tells you this was service? What high quality service? What makes you want to leave almost no tip? What makes you want to leave a big tip? What makes you want to ask for that, you know, waitress or waiter the next time you come by, or the next time you went to the bar and you look for that specific bartender? You know, what makes you go back? And so I have them start naming out different things that they see as criteria or must-haves when they go to pick out a restaurant, and they just start naming things.
Well, what are some of those things that pop up usually? I mean, I can think of a couple of things.
I mean, first and foremost, well, I don't say first and foremost, but one of the big things that usually pops up first is cleanliness. How clean is the facility? You know, is there trash on the floor? Is the table sticky? You know, things like that. And then when it comes to, you know, cleanliness, it's also the appearance. Is the waiter or waitress, are their clothes clean but they're stained? That kind of, what kind of place is this that they can't have clean uniforms? Are their fingernails dirty? Do they smell? Maybe they smell not bad, but they put the whole bottle of cologne on before they came over, and you're choking, trying to get some oxygen, and they're sucking up all your oxygen because of all the cologne they got on. So that's one thing. And what I try to do is then I swing it to massage. All right. Well, if you were to walk into a room and you're going to be treated by a therapist and you can't even think straight because of how much cologne they have on, would you be able to sit in that room for an hour? Well, no. Okay. Well, that's part of high quality service. And then we just run down the list and go back and forth and compare. Another one, politeness. You know, how polite is your wait staff? Do they come to the table with a smile? Or they come over with a big cloud and lightning storms over and you're just even afraid to ask for water? You know, their attitude. And then I'll switch it to, you know, as a therapist, if you're in a room with someone and you know you're going to be there for an hour, do you want somebody with a poopy attitude? Do you want somebody that's snappy attitude? What about somebody opposite end of the spectrum, someone that is just super quiet, doesn't say a word, or won't look at you, can't get eye contact? You know, that makes you kind of feel uneasy if somebody can't look at you. So that all has to fall into your personal contact with the client. And that leads into, well, can you trust the individual? If you're having an issue, you can't even look at them, how can you trust them? Let's see, what else? So
yeah, I've got one that I absolutely love, and that is when the waiter or waitress comes over and you're asking to try and figure out what's good. I do this all the time. I go and I say, hey, so what's good here? What should I be what should I be ordering? And when the waiter or waitress says, well, I kind of like that, that's one thing. But when they're like, oh, well, let's see. What is it that you like? What are some of the things that you like? Oh, well, I can help you through this. The intake in a massage therapy session is worth its weight in gold. So intake for a waitress, really a waiter or waitress, really kind of asking you and confirming, just matching you to what it is that will help you. I mean, to me, that's huge. That's a huge quality point.
Yeah, we talk about being knowledgeable, and if you're sitting there and you're talking to the wait staff and you're saying, "What's the specials?" and they're like, let me go check," and then they come back, you order something. Oh, I hate this one. This happened the other day at Cracker Barrel. So I ordered. They leave. 15 minutes later, come back. Oh, by the way, we're out of that. What else would you like to have? I'm like, oh, you could have told me that 15 minutes ago. So being knowledgeable about what you offer. That does fall into some of the other codes, of, acknowledging your limitations and things like being knowledgeable, but just knowing facts. If somebody say, hey, this hurts, what is this? Knowing what that specific area is. You want to be knowledgeable about the area, and then you take that knowledge, and now what we talked about earlier, now what's the difference between knowledge and wisdom? I have the knowledge of what's here, but I really may not know how to put it together well. You've got certain people that you go to nicer restaurants, they'll pair your food for you because one thing may be good, but it'll taste really bad if you put it with something else. Knowing it's there and knowing how to put it together is not the same thing. Well, the same thing in our field, that high quality service, yes, I can offer certain things, but should I? What order should I put them in? Should I dive right in? Or, so having that wisdom of how to give out the information is I think is key in that high quality service.
I always look at that high quality of service, and I like that you brought it back to the waiter and waitress and the restaurant industry, because I know several times I've seen massage therapists who have said, oh yeah, no, I do structural integration, or I do myofascial release, or I do trigger point therapy. And then you're like, well, great, that's what I like. And they start working on you. And because I know what those are, and I've had them done by people who are professional and know what they're doing, it's so aggravating to me to go, wait a second, what are you doing and where did you learn that from? Because that's not what I know for myofascial release or structural integration. And so when a waiter or waitress says, oh yeah, we have ham and eggs, and they bring you steak and beef chuck, you just kind of go, wait, these aren't what you said they were. So not only being able to know what you do and know why you're doing it, but be able to know what you can't do or what your skill set isn't, which we'll get into in a couple of days here, in a couple of weeks. There's this piece of what quality massage therapy is. I've heard an argument out there in the massage therapy profession that massage therapy schools aren't putting out professional massage therapists anymore. And it's this argument that at one day when we were students, we had high quality educators who taught us everything we need, and now it's just not as qualified. Any thoughts on that, Craig?
Well, I think I have seen over the time, because of, as a regulator, serving on my state board and dealing with different committees that I have, I've seen that some, not all, but some of the schools have lost their way in the fact that in their struggle to just stay open, because of the popularity of massage, so many people have felt that they could open a school with no experience, but it still draws away from the legitimate schools, the core of the programs. It pulls away students that pays for quality instructors, and now you've got these longevity programs that are struggling just to stay open because of these other schools that have taken away from what their ability to provide is. So I think that's a part of it. They don't have the funds to pay for quality instructors, so they get these people that meet the bare minimum requirements of a state, that were like I was when I started, and that was the position I was. I was hired because I met the bare requirements, and they could pay me as little as they wanted to. And I had the knowledge, but I had no way of piecing it together. And that's what a lot of schools are missing, is the piecing it together. They're spitting out the facts. And what I've seen from a lot of schools, again, not all schools, but from a lot of schools, is they're too worried about teaching to a licensing exam than actually creating quality therapists. And see, if you teach the material, you teach them how to become therapists, those individuals have no problem passing a test because it's basic information. But when you only teach test items, you may or may not be teaching the correct items that that individual is going to get on their test. But you teach them basic skills like word analysis, how to take a structured sentence or structured word and tear it apart, and what does it mean. Well, then if you teach them that skill, then if they get to a question on a test, they can walk through it. But that's one of the things I've seen. You know, I audited 40 different schools in my state, and I'd say a handful of them are you know, quality programs that strive to put out therapists. The rest of them seem to be, how many students can we get in? Can we get them out? And that's not what our profession should be about.
Well, and it's just like you said, it's training quality of care. And just like, I mean, I have children, you've got children. When we talk about, okay, what are we teaching our children? It's not really what we say as much as what we do. And so as a school goes through and starts looking at these, as you said, kids, but these students, and says, okay, well, what is it that we want that student to come out with? If we really want them to have standard of care, we really want them to be able to stabilize themselves as a professional, not just teaching them how to pass a test, because we all know you're not a professional once you pass a test. You may be licensed, but you're not a professional. Mm-hmm. And so simply looking at a school, and free information for anybody who's trying to go to massage school, if you're here looking at this, really look into your school and really get to know the instructors at the school. Because for me, I've seen career colleges that have some of the most beneficial programs set up. But that's because the program director or the dean or the faculty are all really connected and understand what they're doing. I've seen schools that are literally in a barn, and they have a very high quality of turnout for their students because the instructor really has focused the education to being able to be qualified in the medical profession, not just be able to answer a question or really work with a test. Because if we go back to treating our clients, that's that same thing. It's not that we know how to effleurage so many strokes in a row that make us a qualified massage therapist. It's not that we've understood petrissage and kind of what to do. But when you're petrissaging someone's shoulder and they're going, oh, that feels great, yeah, right there. And then you can say, hey, you know what? Yeah, so what we're doing is we're opening up the muscles. We're spreading the tissue to allow more pliability for the connective tissue. That's the piece that makes us professional, is the ability, as you said, to not just connect it and say, here's point A, here's point B, but here's point A, point B, and all the pieces in between, so that when a client asks you a question, you'll know what's on that menu. You'll know why someone should or shouldn't have this or that. I've got several friends who have peanut allergies and other allergies, and when they go into a restaurant and ask, hey, this is my allergy, can I have that? So many times it's just a blank stare of, I don't know, let me go check in the kitchen. But a high quality worker in the field would be able to say yes or no. Just as a massage therapist, when someone comes into my office and says, gosh, I've heard hot stones is just the best thing ever. And I can say, yeah, there's some great benefits to hot stones. I don't practice hot stones, but I do have some massage therapists who I could refer you to who do, because I know what I can and can't do, and we can push them to the right place. So quality of care is definitely one of those big pieces. You know, there's also another piece.
That brings in another point of the high quality care is communication, of being able to not just know it, but actually inform the client, because a lot of times the clients have no idea what's going on. They'll just, this hurts and I want to know why. But you have to know not just what to do, but to explain it. You know, this gets into another one, but you know, high quality care includes this, but it's informed consent. You know, you've got to be able to explain what you're doing, why you're doing it, how you're going to do it, and make sure it's okay with them. And if they say, yes, it's okay, now you've got informed consent. If they just signed your little form at the front, you got written consent. You didn't get informed consent. And there's a difference. So I tell my students, you know, I tell them, you know, we don't teach massage in this program because I can do it in a day. We teach massage therapy. And here's the difference. Both are in our profession. There's massage. There's people that do massage and they're professional. Then there's massage therapists. The difference is the therapists know what, how, and why, and they can educate their client. It's not just them know it and be able to do it, but explain it. So every time I test my students, they have to explain what they're doing, not just mimic some hand motions. Because I said, I can train a blind monkey to do massage. That's easy. My son knew how to do massage when he was 5 because I've been massaging since he was born. Yep. So that's easy. But he has no clue of what he's doing. He doesn't know the physiology of what's going on. He doesn't know the kinesiology of what's going on. He has no idea. Massage therapists do. And so when, like you said, when they ask those questions, you can explain to them. That's that high quality. And then you get the deer in headlights from the client. Wow, I've never had someone, you know, explain it like that. And that, to me, that's sad, because anybody in our field should explain it like that.
Well, and no matter what the environment where they work, I regularly hear people say, oh, well, I'm just a spa worker, or I just work in a franchise, or I don't have to know all of that. No, because you're a licensed massage therapist and you're holding a license, you do need to be able to understand what you're doing. You do need to be able to say, wait a second, I need to back off, or I need to change something, or why does that hurt? Or I used to work in a spa last year or so, and I'd go out there once in a while and I'd talk to the other massage therapists and I'd talk to them about muscles. I'd say, hey, you know what, so I had this client who had piriformis syndrome, and that piriformis was really tight, and so we looked at the TFL. The tens muscle lata had problems as well. And they're like, oh, you know, I remember learning that in school, but I don't remember where those are anymore. And that hurts me, because that's leading right to what you just said there. It is that piece to say, are we qualified? Are we striving to be the qualified, high quality professional that we should be?
Well, I think it falls back too on the schools, because if that therapist was given the mentality that if you do spa work, you don't have to have this, then that they were failed from the beginning. Because, you know, I'll ask them when I teach continuing ed, I get a lot of this in continuing ed too, that they're just lost when we're talking about basic anatomy. And so I'll ask them who, you know, I have 20 people in the room, and I'll, you know, raise your hand if you do rehab. I have 2, maybe 3 out of 20 people raise their hand. And I'm just like, what? And well, what do you do? Oh, well, I work, it seems like you just said, I work in a spa, or I do mobile massage. I'm like, so if your client says, I have a headache, what would you do? And they start saying whatever treatment they would do for their neck or whatever. I said, so you're not going to rub their knee? Well, no. Well, how about their ankle? Well, no. So you mean you're going to work the area they complained about? Well, yeah, that's rehab. You figured out what their problem was. You made a plan for that problem. That's rehab. It doesn't matter where, yeah, light bulb. It doesn't matter where your table's set up. That's why I was saying at the beginning. It doesn't matter if you're in a spa, your franchise, your mobile. It doesn't matter. What you do and how you conduct yourself determines whether you're just doing massage or you're a therapist. It's a mentality. It's not a location. See, a lot of them don't get it. They don't get it.
I've seen a lot of massage therapists across this country teaching CEs like you do, and going to conferences. And I've seen a huge number of massage therapists who went to massage schools and they felt like they were completely cast off. They felt like they passed the exam and that their massage school wasn't a good representation of their knowledge. And they then stepped out of the rest of their student body and said, hey, I'm going to need the continuing education. I'm going to need these steps. So I think there's a thing with certain massage therapists that they say, hey, I want to be a good high quality massage therapist, no matter what school they go to. If they've decided, hey, you know what, I want to be that high quality, they can become that high quality. When I first graduated, probably a year into practice, I moved to Jackson, Wyoming. And one of the things that made me stand out was I was trained at a school from Portland, Oregon. And all the rest of the massage therapists there were trained from a school in Utah. And so when the other massage therapists would say, hey, anybody want to trade? I was more than willing to trade because they were taught something in school different than what I was taught. And as I started looking at the training of a massage school, I started noticing certain techniques that everyone did, and certain ways that everyone did the same thing. Mm-hmm. So even certain words that everyone would use, and explanations. And it then made me question, how much thinking are we doing as massage therapists to have a high quality experience? Because if that's not the case, we're losing out on a huge potential growth in our clientele. Because there's so many massage clients out there that want someone who can think while their hands are moving. And I think that's, to me, what high quality represents. Not just that you know the right words or know the right tools or techniques or your hands can move a certain way, but that your brain can engage while your hands are moving to do a thorough assessment while you're doing the treatment.
It's not how many tools you have in the bag, it's being efficient with each tool that you use.
Absolutely.
It's if you're mediocre with 10 things, you provide 10 things and you're mediocre, you're not going to be busy. But if you're fabulous with 2, you're going to be busy. That's just, be efficient.
Well, and that adds to marketing. Your marketability goes up when you know what you can do. And that's really all our clients, that's all they really want. They want you to be good at what you're good at. And once you know what you're good at, then being able to refer out. But being able to have your quality be high in whatever you say. As I said, I don't do hot stones. I know plenty of people who do, and they do it really well. And I have no problem referring to them. But what is it that's going to make me feel comfortable referring out a quality therapist in a specific technique that I don't perform? It's not going to be an introductory class in some subject. There's usually a couple of things that I require for me to say, okay, I know this therapist has high quality. Usually it's repeated classes in the series of the focus. So they've gone through the whole series and understand not only how to apply it on the neck, but how to apply it onto the whole body. What are the contraindications to certain areas and certain things? So that's the first one that I want to know. Mm-hmm. The second one is the same thing for every other massage therapist, and that is that communication piece. I'm going to go in and I'm going to experience it. So that leads to that next question. When was the last time we got a massage? Because if we're using it as a tool to make sure that we can refer out and that what qualities we don't have, we can refer out to a person with the qualities that will help that specific client best, why aren't we getting massage? And the profession shows that more massage therapists aren't getting massage than are. And that's sad, because if we want our profession to grow, we should be the first ones to say, hey, here's how we can grow. We can start getting massage and start representing ourselves successfully to say, hey, here's what needs to be out there. So awesome. Let me check one other thing here. So
I'll tell you another thing while you're looking at that. One of the things we have with our students that seems to be a big issue when it comes to high quality that a lot are having a hard time of getting over is being timely. Not everybody has time management skills. And so they feel if they start clinic at 9 o'clock, then it's okay to walk in at 9 o'clock. And so that's huge, you know, being on time. I've got in 22 years, I've never been late for a client, not one time. I have a motto, I'm on time every time, because I'm on time, you're on time. And I tell them, they ask, well, what do you do about people that are late or cancellation policies? I said, you can only expect as much as you give. If you're always late, you're pushing clients, you're not on time, you're not respecting your client's time, why should they respect yours? But if you're on time, you're waiting on them, you're ready right at the time, they don't show up, they paid for your time. They paid for your time. If they blocked off an hour and they get 15 minutes because that's all they had, that's all they get. That's what I tell them. So, you have to respect your time because no one else will. If you allow somebody to be 5 minutes late, next week they'll be 10. Then they'll be 15. Then they just won't show up. Oh, but you're not going to charge me. You know, you have to respect your time, but you got to respect your client's time, because if you're late from your client and they book, say, 9 to 10, and you don't get them to 9:05, you just stole from your client, because your clients purchased your time and you weren't there. You stole from them. So I really try to break it down that way to a client, saying, hey, you pay for a movie ticket, 9 o'clock. They don't let you in till 9:10, but it already started at 9. You gonna be happy? Well, no, I want a refund. Okay, well then why are you stealing from your clients? You're doing the same thing by being late.
Well, and that comes down to the basics of adulting. When you start saying, hey, you know what, are you doing those things that that you have to do to be a successful adult? That's kind of those pieces where we have to say, we want to improve, we want you to improve, we're going to hold to standards, we're going to hold to make sure that, yes, timeliness is huge, that communication is there, that asking in questions are there, that not jumping to assumptions. Jumping to assumptions is a dangerous, dangerous world, but it happens. It happens all the time. And when you assume that a client wants a certain thing, that's not giving them what they want. But if you simply ask the right question and say, this is what I understood, is this what you meant? More likely they'll go, oh, no, what I meant was, and then you can actually give them that high quality that they're already looking for.
I get that quite a bit too. They think they're giving you the right information because they're trying to feel better. So of course they're trying to give you the right information, but they're telling you the wrong thing. You know, the back of my leg is numb. Well, point to it, and they point to the side. Well, that's not the back. or my favorite one is when someone comes in and says, my low back hurts. Well, here? Well, no, lower. Here? No, lower. Here? That's your hip. Because nobody wants to say my butt hurts.
That's really almost your hamstrings.
It's like, that's not your low back no more. So I tell my students all the time, it's like, you know, clients lie to you every day. Every day. You have to be able to learn how to give that high quality service, ask the right questions, because they lie. How's my pressure? Oh, it's good. you just pooped on yourself. No, it's not good. It's too much. You know, you haven't breathed in 5 minutes. It's too much. But they lie. You know, how you doing? I'm fine. You just drug your leg across my parking lot. No, you're not fine. But that's that common courtesy. You know, oh, I'm fine. No, you're not. So you have to learn how to pull out and extract the correct information to give the service, because they're wanting high quality, but they're not giving us much to work with. So you've got to be able to extract that info.
But it's your job as the massage therapist, as the care provider, to extract that information. Yeah. And people are like, well, they just didn't tell me. Are you sure? Are you sure they didn't say, I'm okay, or I'm fine, or that's okay? Because those answers all mean no, it's not. And you need to improve. You know, I got to show this one thing again, all right, on the NCB website here. As you look at this, I have a sincere commitment. I love that term. People don't use that term often enough. What does it mean to be sincerely committed to something? You know, I think the closest places that I see that are in religion, where people talk about, I have a sincere commitment to my faith. I have a sincere commitment to this. I don't usually see it as a massage therapist say, you know, I'm sincerely committed to my practice as a massage therapist. But why aren't they? Or why don't they say it that way? You know, a sincere commitment to me includes things that give you more study time about your profession. If the last time you opened your kinesiology book was when you were in school or the day before you graduated, I don't really feel comfortable saying that you're sincerely committed to your profession. There's a lot of things that are out there that we can be looking at, the magazines, the Massage Therapy Journal, Massage Magazine, any of those. The Massage Therapy Foundation puts out a research perch, which is people sitting down talking about research. Those are the things to me that define a sincere commitment, that you're really out there doing something to improve. We're right at the beginning of our new year. This is something that years ago I started doing was, if I hadn't looked something up in a week, I realized I was failing myself. And so each week I started opening a book. And it was always a book about massage therapy. At that point, I was really wanting to engage myself. But that was also right before I started teaching. And what I loved about teaching when I started, because I was like you, had a massage therapy school that was looking for a massage therapist to teach kinesiology, and they put it out there, and I was less than 2 years out. I mean, I was really pretty new in the profession, and they asked, okay, so what is it that you like to teach? And I said, I don't know, I haven't taught much. And they said, okay, well, what do you like in massage therapy? Let's have you teach this subject. And I think it was A and P or something. And I wasn't prepared at all. So I just kind of started talking about what I knew. And they then said, okay, well, let's have you, we have another position open. How about kinesiology? Well, what do you know about muscles? I'm like, oh, let's start talking, because that's my stuff. That's my game. That's where I play. And so for me, being able to be sincerely engaged in something and really connect with a subject and kind of say, hey, you know what? I want to be committed to my skills. And so how do I activate that skill? Well, you have to then step up and say, the skill is how I'm going to become a better massage therapist, which is doing the research. When new stuff comes out, there's always new things that the Massage Therapy Foundation is putting out as something to really engage in either a local area, a certain pathology, going out and saying, okay, what is now out there regarding massage therapy and how effective it is on certain conditions or certain parts of the body. You know, that helps us grow, not only as a profession, but personally, if we engage. And that's the problem, is remembering to engage. That's one of the things that I really am enjoying about starting this webinar series, is that we're not just going to do a webinar and then have it disappear into the ethos. These are actually going to go on to YouTube, and they will stay on YouTube, and people can watch these for free. Because I want people to really kind of hear the ideas and talk about these, and really then go to work and say, hey, other massage therapists in my office, what do you think about? That's how the profession is going to get better, is by simply asking the questions and connecting and communicating. Now, if they want continuing education, great. I'm glad to give them continuing education. NCB approved continuing education is a great thing to be looking for. But being able to not only just say, okay, you got the continuing education, but did you get the information from the continuing education? Because I think everybody's gone to a CE class that gave them minimal on the information and maximal on the hours of credit. And
again,
that's
the difference in knowledge and wisdom, facts and what to do with them. Big difference.
And repetition doesn't always create wisdom. Repetition can just create mind numbness.
Carpal tunnel.
Of the brain? Yeah, it creates carpal tunnel. Awesome. Awesome. Wonderful. So then let me get back to the sharing screen, because there was one other thing in this statement that I really do. I mean, I love all of this whole series as we go through it. So have a sincere commitment. We've talked about sincere commitment to provide the highest quality of care. And this is that last piece. To those who seek their professional services. Who's seeking our professional services? What do you think, Greg? Is it just
it's who are your constituents? Who are you working on? You know, your professional services, but this could be people that other therapists trying to refer to you. This could be, you know, your referral program, not necessarily people that are going to use your service, but they're referring to you for your service. So, you know, how are you presenting yourself? Are you putting yourself in a position that looks like you're wanting these referrals? Are you being that professional individual in all aspects? And I know you'll get to those when you hit all these other points of what it means to be professional. You know, that's to be continued. But, you know, it's a big difference in being in a profession and being professional in that profession. And these ethics is really what makes that difference. As, yes, I can do work in a profession, but not be professional at it. And then I can be professional at minimal standards, or I can be professional at maximum standards. And that's what this number one's really trying to show. Both are professional, both are legal, but who's offering more and who's trying to do more for their client? And that's that high quality of service.
To me, this one piece really explains the difference of a massage therapist and a national certified massage therapist. Because what I want to continue to see is that massage therapists look at NCB approved or board certified massage therapists and say, oh yeah, they have the commitment. They not only got licensed, but they got licensed, stepped up, and are doing that step above to really show that they've got that quality. When I look at, and as I said, we'll talk about this in a few weeks. When I look at people who are looking for massage therapists and seeking massage, I don't think everyone knows what they're seeking for. I don't think they all know the term that they're looking for. But when I'm out at an event, our high school basketball team, I live in a small town, so our high school basketball team has an event, and I'm watching people and I'm talking to them, and they're asking me what I do, and I say I'm a massage therapist. And notoriously, what's the question we hear? Oh, well, I got this one thing.
Yeah.
And they don't realize that they're saying, hey, I really want to be your client, but I'm asking you to clarify and to confirm that you know what you're talking about. They want to engage with you on an intellectual basis about what it is that their condition is. And then they'll say, oh, yeah, I totally want to schedule with you. That would be great. That's holding that standard, that professional standard. It's not just in the treatment room. It's not just when you're making the appointments. It's not just when you're talking on the phone with them. It's not just when they're sitting in the waiting room. It's the whole day. It's the whole life. It's a pattern that people start looking at and start saying, hey, you know what? I need to be a quality therapist no matter where I'm walking, what I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, you'll get into it in 13 weeks from now, 14 weeks from now, but there's a code that talks about that to avoid interests or activities that could that not be beneficial for the profession. It's not talking about doing illegal things in this one. It's actually talking about things that are legal, but maybe not advantageous for you to be partaking in. We talk about that a lot with my students, just letting them know, hey, personal life and business life, you have to be careful, because when those things start to mash, you start to have issues. And I take them to that code right there about, those activities and interests. Like you said, you're representing your profession, whether you're next to your massage table or not. You're representing it at all times, because you could be getting referrals. Again, those seeking your professional services might be the person in the grocery store next to you. Could be the person sitting in the bleacher next to you. You don't know. Are you prepared for that? Do you have cards? Can you communicate with them? Can you spread knowledge without having to go look it up, pull a textbook? Can you talk the talk so that people are confident to want to come into your room, take their clothes off, have a stranger put their hands on them? Can you make them feel at ease to respect you enough to feel comfortable with it? It's an all the time. You can't just do it 10% of the time. It's 100% if you want to be successful.
I had a student in massage school several years ago when I lived in Savannah, actually. And it was hysterical because the student got pulled over for speeding. And just in talking with the police officer, the student said, yeah, I'm going to school to become a massage therapist. And the officer was like, oh, well, that's interesting. Yeah, no, I have a friend who is a massage therapist. Oh, yeah, so I've got this back problem. So she got a ticket. So there's that, but also got a client. And so the key piece is, because as a student, they said, okay, well, here's the clinic phone number. Come on into the clinic, and the student clinic will take care of you. That was the actual student who was there and got scheduled with the officer. And so it was really awkward for a moment, but really it was a student portraying that exact point and being that representative, even when you've done something stupid, that they can learn. And I don't know if the therapist is still working with the officer, but it's one of those things that you have to kind of say, I represent my profession to everyone around me, no matter who I am or where I'm at. Awesome. Well, Craig, we are in the last 5 minutes. Is there anything that you're doing, you've got going on coming up that you want to feed up, or things that are coming through?
Not really.
I know I didn't feed you. I didn't prepare you for this.
No. I mean, I teach continuing ed all the time, so I've got stuff, all around. But
do you have a website or an email address for people to get in contact with you?
CEmassagecredits.com is my website.
Okay.
So I have all the classes that I teach are there. The calendar of where I'll be and how to sign up for classes are there. My bio, all that stuff is there.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Craig. I really do appreciate it. So yeah, if you haven't, just make sure to remember that the NCBTMB.org website is there and is very helpful and has a lot of information. If you're looking, just start going to the bottom is my suggestion. If you start looking for what it means to be an NCB board certified massage therapist, it's really got a lot of great pieces down here. And once again, I've contacted them regularly for different reasons. Giving them a call if you have any questions. They're more than willing to talk to you and help you out. Contact information is at the bottom with their 1-800 number. So that's one piece. The second piece is the Educated Touch website is up and going. If you are looking for next week's webinar, it will be, you can register for the event right at the Register for Event buttons. If you watch this video and your state allows you to take distance learning or home study classes, we do have a test that you can purchase. After watching the video, you can take the test, and then we will give you 1 hour of CE for this hour that you spent with us. So thank you for being here. educatedtouch.com is the website. And I have, let's see, the wrong thing here. Let me see if I can get everything shrunk down. And let's go to...
It was nice to meet you, Craig. Thank you, Nathan. The hour has flown by. We hope you've enjoyed this discussion with Ethics Outside the Box. As you've seen, Nathan uses many second-hand stories of ethical situations. If you'd like to share your story or you have any questions, feel free to contact him and Nathan at educatedtouch.com. If you'd like to register for next week's live webinar, go to shop.educatedtouch.com. Under live webinars, you will see all upcoming webinars. If you have just watched this video and would like continuing education for home study, you can go to shop.educatedtouch.com under the home study options with the date or episode number to receive your exam. If you would please like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel, we will keep you up to date on new videos. If you'd like to attend one of our live courses, you can find upcoming scheduled events at www.educatedtouch.com. Thank you for joining us today. Be well and have an ethical day.
Thank you guys for being here. I am also going to, we haven't done everything. I'm checking here for the Q&A for questions and answers to see if there's any questions for Craig or myself for the last 3 minutes or 2 minutes here. I don't see any questions that have popped up, and we do have, yeah, well, there's 2 of us, so that's not going to really help too much, is there? All right. I would say to anybody that watches the video to know what your state website is for your law. Oh, huge.
There's a lot of regulatory things that are going on in many states, and not necessarily do they have to send out anything in the mail when things change. All they're required to do is to make a posting, and it's on the website of every state law, whether it's your Secretary of State or who it's through. So know where your massage therapy website is for your state and stay abreast of law changes, rule changes, anything that's going on, because you are required as a licensed therapist in your state to follow the laws and rules, whether you know them or not. That's part of being ethical, is making sure that you're signing. And when you renew your license, you're saying, I'm going to obey all rules and laws. Well, if you don't know what they are, you don't know really what you're signing. So really make sure that you're doing that, because things can change with one meeting. Rules can change. So you want to make sure that you stay abreast of it.
I have multiple state licenses, and I'm signed up on each of those state licenses to receive their updated emails as they come out to say, hey, here's what's going to be at the next board meeting. And it's really simple to just open my email, see that, hit the link, and go through and see what's being discussed and be excited to see it. Here, get the review of the minutes. It's very helpful and very important to be able to stay abreast of what your license allows you to do and doesn't allow you to do. So yeah, thank you for that. That is absolutely true. So checking with the state licensing board with which you got licensed If you don't know what that is, it's funny, I have a poll question that I put up on some of these classes, asking, so where do you find your state laws? And the NCB website, the AMTA website, my state licensing board, or I ask an instructor who taught me in massage school. And truly, most people go with that last option, which is really sad, because that means one person is the conduit for that group of people. So make sure that you go to your state licensing board, your massage therapy licensing board, to stay up on what's going on. So thank you, Craig. I appreciate that. I'm going to stop the recording here.